Okay, what is the nervous system and how do I become more regulated? I love this question because this is a system inside of you that is responsible for everything in your life, and it's the foundation of all healing. And I know this sounds like a really bold statement, and it is. And this is what neuroscience and decades of research have proven to be true, that this system inside of you is responsible, for everything. And it influences systems, such as our cardiovascular system, our endocrine system, respiratory system, immune system, MSK system. So these are things like your heart rate variability, your breathing, your hormones, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, sensations, it's everything. And so a little bit about my story that, really got me into being really passionate about nervous system work is that it's literally changed my entire life. And when I started to feel the shift inside of my body start to happen, everything in my external world started to mirror that and started to show that as well too. And I lived a lot of my life in a state of dysregulation, like a lot of my, late teens, all through my 20s for sure, and not much in my early 30s, but sure, like sprinkles of it and fragments of it. And for me, it showed up in the way of, chronic overthinking, overperforming. The perfectionist type of, energy was in me for a lot of my life. I had multiple bouts of burnout, chronic fatigue. It literally ran my life. I often thought I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't, just more anxiety for me is how it showed up. I would feel bouts of, the depression, kind of heavier energy in me. It was more seasonal, but when it comes back to the nervous system side of things, I was in this constant state of overwhelm, period. That was how I lived a lot of my life. And so now when those meet me today, they're like, wow, this is how you've been your whole life. And I can say like, no, this is not how I've been my whole life. It has taken a lot of work and a lot of practice and a lot of repetitions and a lot of patience. And, it's possible because our nervous system is malleable. And this is the beautiful thing, that no matter how old you are when you're listening to this, whether you're, 20 years old or you're 80 years old, the beautiful thing is that our nervous system is malleable and it can change. It just takes work and it takes practice and it takes a few different things that I'll explain, throughout the video. So to understand a little bit about the nervous system is it's a very complex system, like a web-like structure of nerves that carry information, to and from our body. And we have a central nervous system, which consists of our brain and our spinal cord. And then we have our peripheral nervous system, which is the nerves that exist outside of the central nervous system. Often, envision like tentacles or like roots that, extend from the brain and the spinal cord. Our autonomic nervous system is really responsible for our involuntary functions, and subcategories of our autonomic nervous system are our sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze type of responses. So like survival responses is a good way to kind of word this. And then our parasympathetic nervous system is more of that rest and digest. And we also have two subdivisions from our parasympathetic nervous system of our ventral vagal and dorsal vagal. And dorsal vagal tends to feel more like that state of like apathy or being, numbed out or depressed or exhausted or hopeless type of, feelings that, you may start to resonate with is when you're more in that dorsal vagal type nervous system response. So in order to become more regulated, which I get asked all the time, is, what do I do to come back into this place to be able to live like my best life? Because I work with those that are stuck more in this, mental, emotional, and spiritual areas of their life, and using the nervous system regulation tools can help move through this, because as you know, the nervous system is responsible for everything. And so first thing to start to learn about and start to understand is to have context. So step one is context. And this is more of, being aware. So we can't make a change if we don't have context, if we're not aware. And so the first example that comes to my mind right now is, let's say like you get a text message from a friend that says like, hey, can we talk? And like, they don't use any emojis or like exclamation marks or anything. Your nervous system may go into the state of like, what did I do wrong? What is happening? And go into the state of fear. That's just one thing, but it can look in that type of way of just having context so that your nervous system can, feel safe. And the point of this context piece is to become aware that I'm in a state of dysregulation, of just being able to catch that and have context to it, like, wow, right now my heart rate is fluttering, I'm sweating profusely, I feel really frustrated, I feel really angry, I feel really hopeless, whatever it is that you can kind of identify with, of being able to become aware of what is happening. Then we can move into step 2, which is to make a choice. And in order to make a choice to change. And so once you become aware and have context around something, it can be like, okay, I'm ready to make a choice to change, to get out of, this victim type of mentality of like, this is just how I am, or this is just how I've always been. And it's to remember that our nervous system is malleable, and you can change. And it's to have this like more of this empowerment energy of making a choice to change. And the third C is connection. And so finding ways to come into connection can really help to regulate our system, because ultimately, in order to regulate our nervous system, you need to feel safe. And if you take anything away from this video, is that in order to regulate, you need to feel safe. And so part of connection is, how can I feel more safe? You think about a baby, when they're dysregulated, they come in for a snuggle and you create the sense of safety. It's ways that we can create safety in our system so that we can do the things that, we are wanting to do. The part of connection that comes up is we can have, an actual threat. Let's say, an intruder comes into your home, or you're walking across the street and a car, comes, and you're actually needing to respond to this actual threat. Like, yes, you want to go into that sympathetic nervous system to be able to like make a decision and do the thing. It's when we have these constant perceived threats that keep our nervous system stuck in this state of constant, anxiety, worry, overwhelm, etc., when it's perceived. And so this part of connection, when we come back into the sense of safety, is to realize that anything that is not an actual threat is just a perceived threat based on a past experience. And when you can identify that, of like, okay, wow, I can look around right now and realize that I'm in a safe environment. I'm not in any danger. I may feel like I'm in danger. I may feel like I'm dysregulated, but ultimately I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm safe. And these are, some even words that you can repeat to yourself, just to like remind yourself that this is a perceived threat that my system is going into. Because we're living the size of a life experience based on a nervous system. So if you're constantly in this state of perceived threat, most likely your life is going to mirror or mimic or play out in the way of living your life of constantly always being in this perceived threat, aka fear, of not doing the thing that you want to really be doing. So I oftentimes envision a wall, like the nervous system being a wall that you say, I just want to show up. I want to do the thing. I want to have a really like beautiful, intimate relationship. I want to get that dream job. I, want to be the most amazing parent that I can be. And we can have these desires, but the nervous system can sometimes be like a wall that it just cannot get out of this state of, our sympathetic and or parasympathetic, dorsal state, that you just, this stuck feeling is there. And that's honestly a lot of what happens with those that I'm working with, is they want to do the thing, but they can't do the thing. So it's, how do I do the thing and like remove the wall from keeping you stuck? And that's what I'm going to go into a little bit more in this video, of just give you some takeaways of how we can start to like remove that wall, or be able to step through and do and show up and do the things. And I want you to even just take a pause for a minute and just ask, what areas of my life am I experiencing dysregulation? Because we cannot make a change if you don't have the context, or just again being aware. So if you can right now just write down on a piece of paper, or even a notepad on your phone, and just write down, what areas of my life am I experiencing dysregulation? Now it might be whenever I go to step into my purpose, I shut down and I play small. Or whenever I'm, wanting to have an intimate relationship with a partner, I don't speak up and speak my truth. Or whenever I think about finances, I feel really anxious. Or, maybe not feeling good in my body, or having trouble sleeping, or the list can go on. But just take a minute just to see like what what for you are you experiencing dysregulation. You can even like pause the video and write a few things down so you have some context to work with. And this is the part where I want to encourage you to get into the driver's seat of your life, because when your nervous system is regulated, we're in the driver's seat. We're doing the thing and we're like in control of our life. When you are dysregulated, you're in the back seat. You're cruising. You're back there and you're not really participating in life. And we want to be an active participant in life. Yeah, we want to become regulated so that we can be in the driver's seat, so that we can show up in the ways that we are here to do, that make our soul sing, to just like show up in this way that that you're here to do. And so what happens when we're in the back seat and we're not in the driver's seat is we have a threat detector in our brain, and this is through neuroception, that it's like a simple way I can describe this, like a computer system in our midbrain that says like, I am not safe. And this is what keeps us from our purpose. This is what keeps our shuts down our voice. This is what the story of like, I'm taking up too much space, I'm too much, I'm not enough, things of that nature is really from this threat detector. And this is the perceived threat detector saying that I am in danger, I am not safe, I am going to stay stuck in this this way of being. And I want to, remind you or even educate you on the fact that our past is always informing our present, meaning that our nervous system is responding to the past based on past events, past situations, past things that have happened. So how can I come back to the present moment to see, what is this perceived threat? Is this actually real? Am I getting attacked by a lion? Or am I just like having an argument with my partner that makes me feel like I'm being attacked by a lion, and actually I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm good, I got this. And it's ways to create that sense of safety within. Going a little bit more just for a minute into, if you tend to be more dominant in your sympathetic nervous system, just so you have a bit of, cues to know, like, what does this feel like? What does this look like? It's more in the way that you're in this constant state of, of hustling, of overperforming, of overthinking, of being kind of on that hamster wheel, that rat race type energy of having to get all of these things done. I need to wake up, I need to get my kids ready, I need to make lunch, I need to get myself ready, I need to take my dog for a walk, I need to go to work, I need to come home, do laundry, do the garbage. Like, that is a constant state of being in your sympathetic nervous system. And I can attest to this one and relate to this one, and it still shows up for me once in a while where I can really catch it and use my tools to come back into the state of regulation, because as parents and business owners and just humans living this life, it is bound to happen. And the key here is to be able to have context and awareness, like, oh wow, okay, there it goes again, being activated. And right now I'm in a perceived, threat situation. I'm okay. I can just focus on, what's around me. For me, again, being out in nature, being with my little one when I can just like hug her is one thing that just like sets my nervous system right back into a state of regulation, of just feeling that connection. If you're in this more of this free state, or you can feel this kind of like a deer in headlights, it's kind of how I like to describe it, is this maybe this overwhelming sensation of like, I have to do all these things, but I'm like not going to do any of those things. And like, maybe you have over 100 text messages on your phone, and you're like, I need to get back to all these people, but like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just in this state of like frozen, of I have so much to do and I'm not doing anything. This could be too of even knowing that you have a bigger purpose in life, and you're choosing not to do the thing, and you're feeling kind of frozen, but you know that you want to do this, but you're like, it's like, I have to, but I can't. I have to, but I can't. And again, I can relate to being in this state as well too, when there was a lot of to-dos that needed to get done, so to say. And sometimes my nervous system was in this free state, was just like, I have to, but I can't. I have to, but I can't. And it's to see what can you do to become more regulated, so that you can, get out of that state and do the thing. The dorsal vagal shutdown is another one I can relate to, is a state of, like apathy, or being in a funk, or, being really exhausted or hopeless, or kind of heavy and numb. And for me, this didn't happen too often. Like seasonally, this would happen for me. And oftentimes when just the overwhelm was like so much, and also when I was going through an injury recovery, when I broke my back, this was a state that I lived in for like not just days or weeks, but months. I was feeling the state of this dorsal vagal shutdown because I was also in a state of recovery and also in a state of not being able to do the things that really brought me into a state of being in fullness. And this apathy and kind of disconnected and exhausted and funk was really because I was so disconnected from like who I was and what my purpose was and what I was doing and who am I without my physical body and all of these things. And so in that pain place was where, you know, for me, this is where this really played out in a lot of my life, and where my life actually really started to change when I started to learn about the inner workings of the nervous system. I started to see and actually experience that I cannot talk my way out of feeling. You can't. It's like the language of the nervous system is not in words. It's not like just calm down or like you're good enough, you're okay. Like mantras and those words like help, but the truth of healing is that the verbal language of the nervous system is not in words. And this is something that changed my entire experience when I really came to realize and put the pieces together that the language of the nervous system is in our somatic therapeutic practices, or in the soma is the body of a cell. And so it's to get into the body, because the nervous system does not understand English. The nervous system understands the somatic. So how do we get you into your body to feel, to process, to feel that somatic experience to actually start to change your life? And this is like a kind of like a show not tell type experience, that we can show our nervous system that we are safe, but we can't just tell it. And I mean, it helps, and that's why talk therapy can bring us so far, as we can like speak to this part of us like, I'm safe, I'm okay. And the depth of this healing and the depth of the nervous system work is to show and not tell, to actually do the thing, get outside in nature, connect with those that you love, do some breath work, meditation, journaling, whatever it is, to start to move the needle on getting into the body and start to bring yourself into, you know, regulation. And I can tell you that my life has literally changed since realizing that once I can get into the somatic practices, everything starts to change. But it's not a one-time experience, not like a one and done type thing. It's a constant showing up and a constant, like small, consistent daily actions, 1% changes of building these repetitions, because regulating your nervous system is key to changing our lives. It's everything. And what I can even pass along to is just creating some kind of a, you know, regulating resource toolbox or a medicine bag or whatever kind of wording you resonate with. But even right now, start to just kind of jot down some tools that, you know, are able to help you become more regulated. And I can give you some examples of, you know, I use nature as an example all the time. It's my favorite go-to. And I also have seen and experienced how incredible nature is. Just again, be outside, go for a walk, sit by the water. Mother Nature has all of the elements that can teach us in like very profound ways. You know, singing and dancing, hugging a loved one, getting into coherence with somebody else, again, whether it be a partner or a family member. Sunshine, if you live in a place where it's sunny, then like sit outside and like soak in those sun codes. You know, your animals, really anything that bring you into the state of being able to, you know, feel your body. So what I like to call these are, you know, like consistent neural exercises. And I'm going to just take one pause because my really cool, fancy pink light did knock over, and I can notice that my heart rate did actually jump a little bit. So I did have a bit of a response to like what happened. And I'm going to choose to make a choice to respond and put the light back so that I can have a cool pink background here. There you go. You guys just saw me in like real time, stay regulated, respond to something, and then like keep on going. So there you go. So I think where I was at was creating a toolbox of ways that you can, you know, go to things where you can say, okay, I feel like I'm feeling dysregulated right now. What is a go-to that I can do to change my state? And these we can think about as being like consistent neural exercises. This is like building reps at the gym. Is like when you want to go to the gym to shape a new body or shape part of your body, you got to go consistently. You need to do repetitions, and these constant neural exercises and tools that you can start to be doing are ways that we reshape our nervous system. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, that our nervous system is malleable and it can change, and this is the way to change it, by doing these, practices that will get you out of the state of chronic anxiety and slide into more peace and presence. And these are, moments not to like tell yourself this, but to actually show yourself that like this is what it feels like to be regulated. This is what it feels like to come back into a state of coherence. And so let's go with a little bit of a takeaway. I want you to think about, what are some things that I know will help me feel better? And just have a go-to list that these are the consistent neural exercises and tools that you can use in your toolbox medicine bag, that you can use with you anywhere at any time when you start to notice that you are, dysregulated. And I'll be teaching more on tools that you can use more from like a somatic therapeutic practice standpoint. But these are really important to create some like simple, effective takeaway tools that like this is my go-to when I'm feeling a certain way to get myself into a state of regulation. So there's a bit of a takeaway. What are things that I know will help me feel better and to become more regulated, and start to create your own list? And this is the self-empowerment piece, is that for you to become in the driver's seat of your own life is where your life starts to change. To seek these healings from other people actually takes the empowerment away. So it's to come back into your own driver's seat and say, how can I take control of my own life and change the way that I show up in my life? And what are some tools that I can use to help me become more regulated so that I can show up as my best human in this life? And it literally changes everything from your relationship, most importantly with yourself, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your children, with coworkers, your internal environment. When your nervous system starts to become more regulated, your entire external experience starts to change and shape as well too. I hope that helps, guys.